Hey Jorg, it's great to see you. I'm gutted that I'm not seeing you in person, but I hear that you're in Seattle.
Yes, it's like the first time in at least 4 or 5 years that I'm not going to make it to Gamescom in person, which is a huge bummer because I love the show, I love the people, I love the vibe, the gamers. So yeah, but and plus we always have a community event where we meet with the hardest core flight sim enthusiasts. But honestly, we're 13 weeks away from the launch of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. And, there's almost so much to do to make sure that everything is perfect that I'm just going to have to stay home and work on the new sim.
How are you feeling coming up to launch? Because as you said, it's only 13 weeks away.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 or MSFS 24, as we now call it, it is the biggest undertaking ever in flight simulation. It's the biggest fleet, the most airports, the most sophisticated flight model, the best physics we've ever done. The digital twin is taking leaps forward. This time we added seasons, worldwide ship traffic, worldwide oil rigs, heliports, glider airports, animals. It's massive. And in MSFS 24, it's the first time that you can exit the aircraft and walk around. So we added tons of detail everywhere on Earth. So it's just huge. And on top of that, we've added an all-new career system where you can pick from dozens of authentic aviation activities in a career, and that adds a completely new dimension to the sim. And so you can be like a firefighter or a firefighter
Yeah.
pilot or a cargo pilot or a crop duster pilot or just a passenger airliner pilot. And on top of that, we added short burst activities like low altitude challenges, landing challenges. Just if you have a little bit of time, you can have fun in flight sim.
That is an insane amount of content. I also love the landing challenges. I once somehow managed to get 1 point on them, but the Xbox One team all laugh at me for it. But they are so much fun to do. But you may not be in Cologne in person this year, but I know you are very keen to share some goodies with the community. Can you tell us what?
Yeah, it's actually one of my greatest joys every year to come to Cologne and to bring something to the community that has local relevance. So I don't know if you remember last year, we did EDDK, which is the Cologne Bonn Airport, and we launched that alongside some
Yeah.
European cities and a German plane called the DO-X, big flying boat. The year before, we had City Update 1, where we actually had scanned the city of Cologne and Bonn and Düsseldorf and Dortmund and Hanover, so really local cities, and we had launched the Junkers F-13, the first all-metal airliner in the world. And this year we went all in. So I'm happy to announce we're launching World Update 18, which is the DACH region, so Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And we have assembled a huge amount of data for this. So we are launching all new aerials. So these are basically the satellite and aerial imagery that we use for textures of the landscape. And we're actually using the ones that we're going to launch in the next simulator in November. But we wanted to give a preview to the community. And then we have all new digital elevation maps. They're called DEM. And on the top of that, we have photogrammetry cities. So these are the 3D cities that are shown in Flight Simulator. And we have Frankfurt am Main, so Hanau. And then we have Berlin, Potsdam, and Karo, so sort of northeast. And then in Austria, we have Linz, Vienna, and Salzburg. And in Switzerland, we have Bern and Zurich. And
Amazing.
on top of that, we have 116, which we call POIs, or places of interest or points of interest, so famous places. And we made 9 more new missions that showcase sort of the environment in the region. It's one of the biggest updates we've ever done, and I can't wait to share it with the community.
And we've got a trailer, don't we, for everyone to check out? All right, let's take a look. That actually looked stunning. There's so many amazing places to check out. But I know your team does an incredible job with these world updates, and I hear this one hit close to home for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm so proud that we can basically bring regions of the planets to life with these world updates. And this particular one, I don't know if you know this, but I was actually born in Frankfurt, and I, as a little kid, grew up in Heinstadt, which is near the area. And then my mom comes from Darmstadt. My brother lives in Buchschlag. So when we got the new data, I immediately went into the game and into the sim and looked at it, and I found the house I grew up in, the kindergarten I went to. I was like, and then here's the house my mom grew up in. My brother lives over there, so it's super cool, and it's amazing always when I see how accurate everything is.
Yeah, and I can imagine when you can go walk around as well with a new update. It's like you can really get into that like nitty-gritty detail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it never ceases to amaze me. And we call that the digital twin. The whole goal is that we have a real one-on-one representation of the entire Earth. And, the world, I always say the world is full of sensors. So there's sensors and satellites and aircraft, your phones, your cars. And we get all this data and we can feed that back into the sim. So it's getting better and better over time, which is just so cool.
Yeah, and now that we've seen the world update, can we expect a new aircraft to go with it?
Always, we call those local legends. So when we do a world update, we try to basically highlight important things in the history of aviation relative to that region. So for Germany, we did a few already. We did 2 Junkers and 2 Dorniers. And today, I'm very proud to announce a very special plane from Bremen called the Focke-Wulf 200 Condor. And it was first flown in 1937. And at the time, it was the most sophisticated airliner in the world. And we have a trailer.
That was actually amazing. I have never seen that plane before in my entire life, but can you unpack its significance for it being included in Microsoft Flight Sim?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's not at all surprising because the plane, it came out in 1937 and it was a civilian plane. It made a famous flight from Berlin to New York. That was the goal, to have passengers in one go fly over the Atlantic. At the time, typically people flew in seaplanes and they had to take several stops. So this was the first one. And the reason why it could do that is it was very light for its size. It was only 17 tons and it had they had 4 great engines, lots of tanks, and it flew much higher than everybody else did. So typically planes at the time flew 1,500 meters altitude. This one flew 3,000. So you could go, the air is thinner, less resistant, so you can go much further. So it was a major step forward. However, obviously the war came and then the plane unfortunately just disappeared from the skies. But there's a really interesting story. In 1988, they actually found a wreckage. The plane was considered lost. They found a wreckage near Trondheim in Norway. They raised it, took 11 years till 1999. And it was not in good shape, let's put it this way. And then there was a group of volunteers, they call themselves the Condorians, that basically rebuilt the entire plane from scratch, basically, based on the pieces they found. And that was completed in 2021. And that plane is now visitable. You can see it in a museum in Berlin. And I'd followed that story. I called the museum. They allowed us to do a scan. And then we typically try to give something back, right, when we do these collaborations with museums. So I asked them, is there anything we can do to help you guys? And they said, hey, Jorg, there's a Swiss collector who spent his entire life collecting all the instruments for the Condor. And he had sort of built in his house a dashboard of the Condor. But the man was at a point in his life where he wanted to part with his collection. So Microsoft actually bought the collection from the collector, gave it to the museum in Berlin, and they integrated it into the Condor. So, we call it digital preservation, what we do in flight sim, right? And when we can connect that to the real world, where people do the real world preservation of planes, it's just one of the most awesome things, really, for us.
No, it's amazing that people are going to get to play that in game as well, and it really is art imitating life. But thank you so much for joining us. I know you're really busy, kind of getting the last bits for the update together, but you've got one cool announcement for everyone, don't you?
Yes. So World Update 18, the one we just talked about, is available right now. So the sky is calling. Go check it out in Microsoft Flight Simulator and download it today. And just in case you didn't know, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is releasing on November 19th.
And that's also going to be available on Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass for PC. So everyone get their hands on it.